All right, so you've sent us a ton of like dating advice for men,
Oh, great.
and honestly, it's a lot. We're talking forum posts, blogs, even some stuff from self-proclaimed experts. It's a real mixed bag.
Sounds like you want to get past just the surface level, though. You want to know why this advice exists in the first place, the thinking behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do these tactics say about how some people see dating? Men, women, the whole shebang.
And it's important to remember a lot of this comes from a very particular perspective. Some of it might promote ideas about gender roles that, well, let's just say they're not exactly progressive.
Yeah, we definitely need to be mindful of that. So where do we even begin? One thing that jumps out is this whole friend zone thing. Yeah. Like it's some terrible fate worse than death.
It's wild how that term took off. It often reflects this transactional view of dating, like if a guy does enough nice things, bam, he's owed romantic interest.
Like he's racking up points or something. I brought you soup when you were sick, now go out with me.
Exactly. It ignores the possibility of, actual friendship. Like men and women can't just be friends without some ulterior motive.
And it puts all this pressure on women to manage men's feelings, which isn't fair at all.
Not to mention, it can lead to some pretty bad advice. One source actually told guys to avoid doing favors for women they like, specifically to avoid this friend zone.
Seriously, so kindness is a manipulation tactic now. That's messed up.
Totally sends the wrong message. But not all the advice is like that, thankfully. Some of it actually focuses on building confidence, which on the surface seems pretty good.
Right. Confidence is key. And one source talks about competence over confidence. Like if you master the approach, asking someone out, whatever, the confidence comes naturally.
It's about getting comfortable with the process, right? Like that future wingman message we saw about honing your social skills. It's not bad advice per se.
Yeah, but it feels like it might be oversimplifying things a bit. Like attraction is just a formula to solve for.
Exactly. And while being socially skilled is great, it's not the whole picture. Attraction is way more complex than that.
So how does physical touch play into all of this? We see a lot about kino escalation in these sources.
Ah, yes, Kino. It's often presented as the strategic way to build intimacy through touch, but it can feel a little creepy when they describe it so clinically, like it's just a matter of following the steps and you'll get the girl.
Right. Like some sort of intimacy checklist. We even have a diagram in our materials, the escalation ladder.
And that's where it gets problematic. Appropriate touch can be a natural part of flirting, but this kind of framework makes it seem so formulaic. It can encourage people to push boundaries without even realizing it.
Totally. Consent and reading the room are crucial. You can't just follow a script and hope for the best.
Exactly. It's not a video game. And speaking of potentially problematic frameworks, this whole idea of frame and dominance comes up a lot too.
Okay, frame and dominance. Those are some loaded terms if I've ever heard them.
Right. It's like they're stuck in some 80s movie. But basically, it's about a man projecting this aura of control, being the alpha.
So like I walk into a room, chest puffed out, acting like I own the place, and suddenly everyone's swooning. Yeah, not buying it.
It's funny you should say that because it's presented as this surefire way to attract women, like it's some sort of law of nature. But really, it's more about fitting into this narrow, kind of outdated view of masculinity.
Like be aggressive, be assertive. Don't take no for an answer. That's not attractive. That's a recipe for disaster. And it completely ignores the fact that, different people are attracted to different things.
Exactly. One person's confident is another person's jerk, and this whole frame thing, it can actually backfire.
How so?
Well, if you're so busy trying to project this image, you stop being present in the moment. You miss those subtle cues, those little things that actually build connection.
You become so focused on controlling the situation that you forget to actually connect with the other person.
Exactly. It's like they're following a script instead of being genuine. And that brings us back to that soccer player example. He's practically a frame legend in these circles.
Oh yeah, the goalkeeper. His unwavering frame on the field is supposed to make him irresistible.
And it plays into this idea that a man's worth is tied to his ability to dominate, whether it's sports or dating. It's pretty narrow-minded, if you ask me.
It's like they're equating winning a game to winning over a woman. It's just not that simple.
Not to mention, this focus on dominance can be really harmful when it comes to boundaries.
Because if you're always trying to be in control, you might not even notice when you're making someone uncomfortable.
Exactly. You might miss or dismiss those cues that tell you you're going too far, and that's a recipe for disaster.
It's amazing how much depth there is to this stuff, right? We started with what seemed like simple dating tips, and now we're talking about gender roles, consent, even the very definition of masculinity.
It's like those Russian nesting dolls. You keep uncovering more layers. But that's why it's so important to be critical, to think for yourself and not just accept everything you read online as gospel.
Totally. So much of this advice is presented as fact, but when you actually break it down, it's often based on these really outdated ideas.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You have to learn to separate the helpful stuff from the harmful stuff. Just because someone calls themselves an expert doesn't mean they actually know what they're talking about.
Exactly. Which can be tough, right? Especially if you're new to dating or feeling unsure of yourself. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking there's some magic formula for success.
Oh, absolutely. But the truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to dating. It's about figuring out what works for you, what aligns with your values, and who you want to be.
And being respectful, right?
Yeah.
Of yourself and the other person.
100%. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, communication, and genuine connection. It's not about trying to fit into some predefined box or following a script.
It's about being your authentic self, being open to learning and growing, and treating others with kindness and respect.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been great diving into all of this with you.
Likewise. And to everyone listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you from all of this? What are your thoughts on Frame, Kino, and the dreaded friend zone? Let us know. Until next time, happy dating.